Braden Sullivan. I'm a member of Ag Solidarity. We're very happy to see all of you here today. We think it's very important that we have a space for a serious dialogue on things. Traditionally, something like this would be between just Democrats and Republicans. First of all, we'd like to thank the College Democrats and College Republicans for agreeing to this. Tonight, the debate will be moderated by Professor Dennis Placey. He's an associate professor of applied statistics in the College of Business here at Davis. Each side will be represented by two debaters, except for Republicans. For Democrats, we have Brandon Morrison, Alexandria Land. For Republicans, we have Dax Contreras. For Ag Solidarity, we have Alan Dicker and Nitish Arula. There's going to be some rules for the debate tonight. We will start out by giving each side 5 minutes to address the question of the economic crisis we have in our country. Afterwards, we'll set aside approximately 48 minutes for the moderator to ask each side questions. The moderator, for each question, will pick one group. They get to answer first, and then there are 2 minutes assigned for each opponent to respond. And the team that got to answer first will have 1 minute to follow up. Afterwards, we're going to have a brief period for questions from the audience. The moderator will pick whoever has questions from the audience. I want to remind you that this is part of 3 debates that will happen between the Republicans, Democrats, and Ag Solidarity. The next one will focus on foreign policy and immigration, and that will be Tuesday, March 27th at 7 p.m. in Hardman Hall, room 106. You will probably see flyers and posters for that within a week or so. The final debate will take place on April 24th at 7 p.m. in Hardman 106. The issue will be education. Now, I would like to introduce Professor Clayson, who will have the debate. And I ask that kindly everyone either turn off your cell phone or put it to silent.
I want to thank all of you for coming out tonight, and all of you in the audience for coming out tonight. It's important that we discuss these issues in front of us in an active manner.
For years before the current economic crisis, middle-class security had been slipping away. Wages stagnated, jobs were outsourced, and healthcare costs for average American family members soared. In the 2008 election, when the voice of the American people was restored within our democracy, we addressed the immediate economic crisis and since have begun to lay a foundation for an economy that can out-innovate in the global marketplace. Despite the current doom and gloom rhetoric preached from current presidential hopefuls looking for political gain, the current economic crisis was absolutely preventable, and is not the current administration's doing. Our country experienced a simple economic model, an asset bubble followed by a burst. Our leaders then were too sluggish to understand the gravity of this situation. Financial institutions lent an abundance of money to the wrong people and lost. This loss threatened to cause a chain our nation that would affect us all. Through acting with blind faith in the markets and a deregulated climate, banks were not required to make safe investments with depositors' resources. They were investing in risky, creative financial instruments which crashed in 2008. And instead of taking down a few investors, they threatened to take down our entire economy. However, this recession will not turn into a depression. Our president and current leaders have taken the correct steps to prevent the collapse of the financial system and restore our country's economic growth. Care has been taken to avoid history's mistakes of letting the banking system fail and the money system collapse. Economic growth has resumed. According to a Fox News article, jobless rate falls, lowest in nearly 3 years. There's been 23 consecutive months of private sector job growth. That's 3.1 million private sector jobs that have been created. Markets are already signaling that the panic phase is over, the doomed failure evaded. One signature at a time, President Obama moves our country forward through various forms of legislation that have been long overdue. This method has been the key in a successful response to the economic crisis. These bills have also proven to be viable economic investments. Through the National Export Initiative, we have seen a government-wide effort to help small businesses compete in the global marketplace and double our nation's exports by 2015. These agreements are estimated to increase exports by over $11 billion and support over 70,000 American jobs, according to a source from CNN Money. The President signed the America Invents Act, a historic patent reform legislation that will help American entrepreneurs bring inventions to market sooner, creating new businesses and, more importantly, new jobs. The President has passed tax cuts for small businesses as he recognizes that small businesses are the engine of job creation in our country, as they are responsible for 2 out of every 3 jobs in the U.S. Through the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act, we've reformed certain actions of both private and public in health insurance programs. We've increased insurance coverage of pre-existing conditions, further expanded access to insurance to over 30 million Americans, and although this piece of legislation did increase projected national spending, it lowered the projection of Medicare spending. There is no doubt we face many long-term challenges, dealing with an aging population, dependence on foreign energy, global climate change, global politics, and the general well-being of our society. We also have many long-term advantages. Our young population is well-educated, hardworking, and innovative. We are capable of rising to these challenges. Our current legal and political institutions, although not perfect, are basically sound and provide a climate conducive to economic growth. The American dream is still a living, breathing contrast to other cruel realities.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dax Contreras. I'm here with the College Republicans. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you for coming out. You know, it's always great to see the community involved, no matter which way you stand. It's awesome to get people to stand out, especially young folks. You know, I always go to these old events and I always hear the same thing. I'm sure you guys do too. It's like, oh, we need to get more young people. Well, yes, we do, and I'm glad to see you guys are making a stand and taking the time to spend this evening with us. You know, in 2008, some people say, refer to it, that the election was a reform on, or a support, a voice of the people. You know, in all honesty, no, the current administration is not the creator of our current financial crisis. I mean, there's no denying that. But inevitably, there's no doubt in my mind that his actions have made a bad problem even worse. In the late 1990s, there was a deregulation bill passed through the Congress that allowed commercial banks, and they touched upon it just a little bit ago, to get into what they call riskier businesses such as insurance and investments. And a huge push of that deregulation bill was due to, unfortunately, both Republicans and Democrats. There's no one side to blame on this. A lot of people think that we've taken some financial steps to fix some of the legislation that's been going on and fix our financial system. Folks, do you really believe that? Do you think that the legislation that was pushed